enter office of the governor.
Good morning, honorable members. My name is Jane Lasoy, Supply Chain Management Officer, Narok County.
Engineer Joseph Parashina, Narok County.
Elijah Ntutu, County Director, Climate Change.
Engineer Nixon Cole, Narok County Government.
Patrick Sosio, Narok County Government.
Josephine Zike, Narok County Government.
Is that all for the delegation?
That's all, Chair.
Fine, you are all welcome. We will then proceed straight away to administration of oath.
I, Patrick Ntutu, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
You'll proceed to table your written responses.
Honorable Chair, Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following document before the committee. Management response and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on County Executive for the year 2024-2025. Management response and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the receiver of revenue statements for the County Executive for the financial year 2024-2025. Management response and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the County Revenue Fund for the County Executive for the financial year 2024-2025.
Okay, Auditor General, can you confirm that you have reviewed the responses and you're ready to proceed?
Yes, Chair. We have reviewed the responses from the management and we are ready to proceed.
Okay, Clerk of the Senate, is the county compliant in accordance with our rules of procedure?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Fine, so I think then we will proceed. Perhaps these are some of the neatest documents we have seen. And I hope that we should not judge the book by the cover.
Yes.
The taste of the pudding is in the eating. So let us proceed and do the eating. Now, maybe just a preliminary matter before we proceed. Today we are very fortunate that the top leadership of the Senate is also here. Our leader of minority is here. His deputy is here, Senator Wambua. Our whip is here, Senator Ledamo Lekina. And his deputy is here, Senator Sifuna. The deputy whip of the majority side is also here. I think this underscores the importance that the entire Senate places on the activities of this committee, on the work of this committee, and it also underscores the confidence that the entire House has in this committee. There could be matters in the public domain, but we didn't want to discuss allegations that have been made in the media. But we are very happy that in terms of intergovernmental relations, governors have agreed to appear before the Senate. The governor of Narok is here. The governor of Kitui is also appearing before the Public Investments Committee. I'm happy that you governors have refused to join the peer pressure, the bandwagon, where like school children, you meet somewhere and say, twende tuchome dom. And then wengine wanachoma dom, na wengine wanafanya the right thing. So in as much as it is not a favor to the Senate for you to appear, but in light of what's been going on in the public domain, I think we want to encourage you, Governor of Narok, to continue being faithful to the oath that you swore, to continue being faithful to what the Constitution requires of you. That is the least we expect of a governor. So we hope that other governors are going to follow suit. It is not optional. It is not a favor to us. It is a duty that we have to the public and to the people that we represent. And I think that as the House resumes today, at 2:30 we'll be going to the chamber for resumption of Senate business. We can commit that we shall fight for counties to get 450 billion. And we shall put up a strong fight as members of the Senate. The vigor and zeal with which we are going to fight for the 450 billion is the same vigor and zeal with which we are going to oversight and demand accountability. On our part, we promise governors, whether we like you or not, or whether you like us or not, that we shall continue fighting for more resources to go to counties. We shall continue fighting to ensure that we got proper laws, and we are going to discuss something here around Kera, and you'll see the kind of perspectives that the Senate has and the attitude that the Senate has. So with that, the governor is here, so we perhaps if we talk about governors not coming before the Senate, it will be irrelevant. But I would like to give my leaders an opportunity, if there's something that they would like to say, just briefly, before we get into the main business that has brought us here today. Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to go first on this. And thank you for recognizing that the governor of Kitui County is one of the governors was decided to defy the illegal and immoral direction given by a body called the Council of Governors. He is appearing before PIC, and I would want to go and process the audit queries for Kitui under PIC. So, Chair, as I leave to join my colleagues in the Public Investments Committee, allow me to also go on record and really congratulate the governor of Narok for doing the right thing, for appearing before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, and to face the audit queries that have been raised by the Office of the Auditor General, not for himself, but for the people of Narok. This is the right thing to do. And Chair, I am a very disturbed leader today that the Council of Governors, in their wisdom, would sit down and issue the kind of statement that they issued yesterday. It's the most unfortunate statement coming from an entity bringing together heads of governments in our counties. It's unfortunate, it's shameful. Because, Chair, by that statement, what the Council of Governors is doing is that they have taken it upon themselves to prescribe a suspension of the Constitution, the Council of Governors. This is the biggest affront to the Constitution since 2010. But I want to assure the governors, wherever they are, in their retreat, I hear they are retreating in Kilifi, maybe in the beaches swimming or whatever they are doing, I'm not sure. But I want to assure the governors, wherever they are, that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, under the leadership of these leaders here and these senators here, and the Speaker of the Senate, Amason Kingi, we shall not be bowed. We shall soldier on. The deadline, the constitutional deadline for consideration of audit reports remains 31st of March. The governors can say what they want to say. Those who want to appear can appear. Those who choose not to appear can choose not to appear. But the constitutional timelines and the provisions of the Constitution shall be adhered to by this Senate under this leadership to the letter. Chair, I thank you for the opportunity. I will rush to go and process audit queries in Kitui, and if we finish in good time, I'll be here to process audit queries from Murang'a. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sifuna.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, Governor and the team from Narok, welcome to the Senate. We are happy that you are here, that you did not follow that unconstitutional and illegal directive from the Council of Governors. Chair, the most disappointing thing for me was not really what the statement was saying. It was actually who was reading that statement, because he's a very senior member of my party, which is known as the party that basically birthed this constitution. The late Raila Odinga, it was known as the father of devolution. So it was very disappointing that the governor of Wajir was the one reading a statement saying that they can refuse to appear before a constitutional institution with a mandate of oversight. Governor, we have had many of your colleagues. He was very respectful, and he came here, Chair, prepared. I am at least happy, just on the look from a casual observation of the way the documents have been prepared, that you might be prepared. We will get into it, but it looks like you're prepared. There are some colleagues of yours who come here unprepared. They have no documentation, and they expect us to paper over issues. That is not going to happen. You took an oath, we took an oath. I took an oath, and I take my oath very seriously, Governor, to protect counties and their governments. You have seen us fighting for resources for you. You have seen us push back against excesses of national government whenever they want to cross the border. But we have to, just like the chair said, also robustly follow on the usage of those resources. Your colleague from Embu was here. She admitted herself under oath that the county government of Embu took 10 million shillings from the KIPES fund to sponsor a border event, a public rally. She admitted it. That was not Sifuna. That was not this committee. We are not the ones who told her to raid the KIPES account for money. It's an illegality, and she confirmed herself. If that is what they are calling, that somehow some of us are advancing political interest, we are not the ones who sent her to take money. Number two, Chair, Bungoma was here. In their own documents, and I want the leadership to understand this. Bungoma brought us court papers in which they are telling the court that the county government of Bungoma used 4 million shillings to light a Christmas tree in September. Court documents. They themselves prepared those court documents. They are the ones telling the court. Vihiga was here. They told us there was a bash for the speaker's residence, and they took money that could have helped the people of Vihiga. 5 million shillings for a bash for the speaker's residence. That was not Sifuna. That was not any of the members of this committee. They admitted it themselves. Governor, if honestly speaking, we are expected to paper over such issues, to ignore such issues, then what is oversight? What is oversight? We give you the money, you use the money, you have to account for the money. Yeah? So, when we hear statements from the Council of Governors saying they will not appear here because we embarrass them, they embarrass themselves by the things that they are doing with the public resources that they've been given. It is embarrassing that a county can spend money on frivolous things like those. It is not Sifuna who expended that money. So they come here unprepared, no proper documentation. You try to follow a conversation, they run away from their own documents. It happens here all the time. You ask a governor, you have brought this document here. They are financials, Chair. They are financials, they run away. Have you disclosed your pending bills? Oh, today they say, oh, we have a separate document, but they run away from their own financials that they submitted to the Auditor General. So, Chair, for me.
Someone said he left his glasses at home.
Another one, yes, came here, and when we showed the document he has presented, and the chair requested him to read, he said, oh, today I can't see because I left my glasses at home. That's the same person calling us the extortionist, Chair. The same person. He came here, and when we had meetings, we had multiple entities before us. We had to finish with one and then go to his entity. He ran away. He ran away. And then he has the audacity to go to the media and say, oh, this committee should be disbanded and reconstituted. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts is not an appendage of the Council of Governors. When you do your committees, Governor, I don't know which committee you are on. We have never said that, oh, you can't have so and so as the chair of finance in the Council of Governors. That's your business. So for me, Chair, I think I like that you issued a statement yesterday, but I don't think that rebuke is enough. I don't think that rebuke is enough. The Council of Governors has to be told in no uncertain terms that there's 67 senators. And they think if you substitute Sifuna with somebody else, that other senator will ignore the fact that you spend money on Christmas lights. Which senator in that house did not take the oath Sifuna took? All of us will ask about how you're spending money. So my leaders are here. I don't have to be on this committee, Senator Olekina. I'm telling you as my whip. But I have faith and confidence in all of us, the 67 senators, to ask these questions on behalf of the people of Kenya. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Okay, honorable members, let's also remember that we are not dealing with an errant governor. We are dealing with a governor who is fulfilling his duty to the public. So is there any, I know my leader is here, so maybe I'll give him the last word. Senator Chirarge, before the whip and then minority leaders.
Yeah, I would essentially want to communicate through the interrogation, but as we have directed, I think I largely agree with my colleagues. The appearing before the Senate is not a privilege, it's not a favor, it's a constitutional obligation. The way we fight for resources to go to our counties is the way we demand accountability. And you know, Council of Governors is an unconstitutional body. It's a club of billionaires. Some of them are running away from corruption cases, and we know a number of them. I saw one governor making serious allegations that this committee should be disbanded. I agree that this committee is not an extension of Council of Governors. That governor will run away, but we'll catch up with him, because he must account for the resources that goes to Tarakaniti County. Chair, this committee, I've sat long enough, and I think I used to serve with Olekina, and I knew yourself. I think I now deserve a title of ranking member of this committee, Chair. And I've seen so many governors come and go. So the essence we are just saying in agreement with my leaders is that some of us don't have to sit here, but all the 67 senators will ask. And I agree, the problems governors are easy in their own making. When you come with and buy seedlings of 55.9 million in a drought area like Mandera, and when we ask you why would you prioritize water seedlings over water tracking, you tell us that Mandera is these seedlings are rain-fed. Then those are the questions we ask, Chair. When we ask why there is misallocation or the issue of 3.6 on Christmas tree and many other issues, we just ask because those are the making of what the county governors have done. So my own opinion is very straightforward. We will take no prisoners. Any governor who appears here will deal with you the way you have allocated the money. And I want the way, and I was surprised that Ahmed Abdullahi, the Council of Governors chair, was reading a statement, and he's one of the people in my own recollection who has even refused to appear before here. Wajir has a lot of problems, including drought. I wish, Chair, in conclusion, the retreat your colleagues did, Governor, was to discuss about drought situation in northern Kenya, to discuss about education crisis on bursaries and scholarship, to discuss on how we can intervene on policy and ensure that we allocate 450 billion, and to fight against the global functions by other entities of the county government. That would have been better, but for heaven's sake, to sit in Kwale for personal escapades and watching the waves of the sea does not make sense to some of us, and that money should have been put to use. So, Chair, I agree with my colleagues. We will keep soldiering on. The issue of accountability is not optional. It is not a privilege. It's not a favor. It is a constitutional obligation, Chair. So, as a committee, under your guidance, we agree with you in totality, and I want to take note of the presence of Governor Ntutu, and I think Governor Kitui Malombe, for refusing to be part of the peer pressure to undermine a constitutional body by the name Parliament. So, Chair, I yield back and we will keep it on.
Thank you. Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me appreciate my governor for appearing and adhering to the fiduciary responsibility that the people of Narok have entrusted him with. Mr. Chairman, unity of the governors will not shield them from corruption. It will not shield them from accountability. And it is important for them to realize that the law is very clear. The Constitution and our Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Section 19, is quite succinct. It actually stipulates clearly that when a witness is called before Parliament and fails to appear, that witness will be held personally responsible and personally liable. It is not going to be a collective responsibility. This is what these governors are failing to understand. You know, yesterday I was listening to the governors making that statement, and I'm happy that my governors come here. Because what I saw was arrogance, I saw self-preservation, and that is not leadership. Leadership is about service delivery. And that is what I hope that the other governors will be able to understand. You know, these are things that will come and go. You know, I spoke to one of the leaders who spoke yesterday, and I asked him. And one of the biggest problems that he had was that he was being embarrassed. If your documents are an embarrassment, you'll be told. You know, this Senate holds the truth like a loaded gun, ready to shoot at any given time. So it is important for the governors to know out there that as far as accountability goes, this Senate recognizes the fact that failing to hold someone accountable is ultimately an act of selfishness, and we cannot trend in those directions. So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate my governor for appearing, and I hope that those governors who are there, and particularly the leadership of the so-called Council of Governors, will borrow a leaf from the former chair of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. He went, made a statement, and the next day he appeared before PAC. He said we will not appear, but the next day he appeared. So, Governor, thank you so much for appearing.
Honorable members, because again, as I said, we are not dealing with an errant governor. We probably, to allow the leader of minority to prepare for resumption of the House, maybe we can benefit from his wisdom on this matter before we go into the audit interrogation.
Asante mwenyekiti. Cha kwanza ambacho nataka kusema ni kwamba nataka kutoa kongole kwa gavana wa Narok kwa kuweza kufika mbele ya kamati hii. Gavana ninavyomuelewa ni kwamba ni mtu mstaarabu sana. Hiyo ilitokana na ile familia yake. Kuna yule mkubwa wake tulikuwa naye katika Senate ile ya kwanza. Yule mkubwa wake, hata huyu ni kama nilikuwa naangalia nikafikiria ni mtoto wake, kumbe ni ndugu. Alikuwa muungwana sana. Kwa hiyo nafikiria hizo ni tabia ziko ndani ya familia na nataka kumpatia kongole sana. Cha pili ni kwamba ukiwa umeishi Kilifi utakuwa pia wewe ni mtu muungwana. Huyu alikuwa mtawala akiwa kama dio kule Kilifi. Kwa hiyo ni mtu ambaye watu wa Kilifi walimtambua sana na walimpenda katika kazi yake aliyokuwa akifanya kama dio. Nikisema hivyo ni kwamba nataka kumwambia karibu sana katika kamati hii, na hii kamati itachunguza na vile vile yote utakaoulizwa ukiajibu kisawasawa watakuwa hawana shida na wewe. Huo ndio uungwana tunasema, sio kukataa mwito. Cha pili ni kwamba uko na seneta hapa anaitwa Ledama Olekina. Ni seneta mjasiri sana ndani ya bunge la Senate. Kitu chochote cha Narok anaweza na support kikiwa ni kizuri kina support mambo ya Narok, na pia vile vile kama kuna tashwishi kidogo, yeye anatetea sana mambo ya Narok. Kwa hiyo uko na mjasiri ukiwa hapa wa kukuangalia mambo yako ndani ya bunge la Senate. Wana Speaker, utanipatia nafasi sasa niende kwa ile vile ambavyo nimekuja kusema hapa ya kwamba hii kamati ya CPAC ni kamati kuu katika zile kamati zote tulizo nazo ndani ya bunge la Senate. Ni kamati ya juu sana, na sisi sote kama wabunge wa Senate tuna imani sana na kamati hii, na jambo lolote kufanya kuweka sifa mbaya ama kuweka tashwishi mbele ya Wakenya, hiyo ni jambo ambalo sisi hatutakubali na tunalikemea zaidi. Ya pili ni kwamba wale ndugu zako wameketi Kilifi hivi sasa. Inaonekana Kilifi sasa ndio mahali ambapo ikitaka kutokea kitu kila mtu anakimbia Kilifi. Sasa nafikiria tutaambia gavana pia kule na yeye aweke break. Maneno hii ya kutangaza Kilifi kwa njia ambayo sasa inaonekana inaendelea kutupatia sifa ambayo mimi naona sio. Wale wakiwa kule wamekuwa na msemo ama walipitisha msemo fulani ambao ulighadhabisha kila Mkenya ambaye ana imani na bunge la Senate. Cha kwanza ni kwamba kukataa kufika mbele ya kamati hii ni ukiukaji wa sheria, na kamati inaweza kuchukua hatua hiyo. Kwa hiyo si jambo zuri kukataa kufika mbele ya kamati hii ya Senate ikiwa imekuita na wewe ni governor na wewe ndio mnatumia yale mapeni ama unatumia pesa zinazokuja katika mikono yako kama governor. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kusema kwamba ile statement walisema ya kwamba hapa kuna maseneta ambao wanajihusisha, mimi nataka kuchallenge na kuambia kwamba hakuna hao maseneta wote, hata sisi ambao hatuko katika hii kamati tuko na imani na hii kamati ya Senate ile ambayo inachunguza matumizi ya pesa ndani ya kaunti zote 47. Kwa hiyo bwana mwenyekiti, mimi nataka kumalizia tu nikisema ya kwamba Auditor General, mchunguzi wa pesa zinazotumika katika ndani ya serikali na pia serikali zile za ugatuzi zote 47 ameandika, na kazi ya hii committee ni kuangalia ile ripoti yake, na ikiona ile ripoti yake si nzuri, wana haki ya kuita ile county wakiongozwa na gavana wao kufika hapa kujieleza zaidi kulingana na yale matashwishi ama matumizi ambayo yameambiwa na Auditor General ambaye ndio mkaguzi wa pesa za umma, akisema kwamba umetumia pesa vibaya. Senate iko na kamati ambayo inahusika kuweza kuita huyo gavana ambaye anahusika kuja kujibu maswali ni kwa nini alitumia hizo pesa kwa hali mbaya. Na kama kuna ufisadi pia amesema huko nani, hii kamati iko na uwezo wa kusema kwamba uchunguzwe matumizi yale ya zile pesa. Kwa hiyo mimi nasema ya kwamba katika kipengele cha katiba, kipengele cha 229 na vile vile kipengele cha 125 imepatia mamlaka hii kamati, imepatia mamlaka kuona ya kwamba imeweza kuchunguza matumizi ya pesa yanavyotumika katika serikali zetu za ugatuzi. Hakuna kipya ambacho wamefanya ambacho magavana hawajui. Sasa ile kongamano lao walilonalo, kama walikuwa na mambo mengi ya kusema, wangesema mambo hayo, lakini sio kuingilia kamati ya bunge inayohusika na uchunguzi wa matumizi ya pesa katika serikali zetu za ugatuzi. Na pengine kumalizia, bwana mwenyekiti, mimi nataka kukemea vikali, nakemea vikali maneno yote ambayo yameongeleshwa na ile wanaita COG ama ni ile Council of Governors, ile statement waliosema ya kujaribu kukashifu kamati ya bunge ambalo liko na imani, bunge la Senate liko na imani na kamati hii. Nataka kukashifu na kusema ya kwamba wasijaribu kuharibu jina la kamati yetu ambao sisi sote tuko na imani nayo. Kama kuna chochote wanachokuwa nacho tashishi nao, wakuja hapa mbele waseme. Uwanja ndio huu, sio kukimbia hii kamati. Asante sana mwenyekiti kwa kunipatia nafasi.
Asante sana kiongozi.
Chair, with your indulgence, sorry for going back. Omwami Sifuna, now that you are Secretary General of the party and the chair of COG is a member of your party, is it too much to ask that you move the party to summon him and appear for disciplinary action for undermining one of the principles of the party and threatening the legacy of Raila Odinga? I think that is my request. Thank you, Chair.
I don't think that the chair of COG is acting under instructions from the ODM party. If they are doing monkey business in the county, it's not sanctioned by ODM. And he will come here and will explain himself. I think I want to appreciate the comments by my fellow senators. And two key things have come out. And let me just put it plainly. If you come here with embarrassing records, we will embarrass you. If you come here with embarrassing responses, we'll embarrass you. If your audit reports are an embarrassment, indicative of theft, we will not bembeleza you. If your physical appearance is an embarrassment, we will embarrass you. But if you are organized, the way we can see, the order in these responses, then it's like a tennis game. We serve and we respond to your service. The other thing that has come out is that the Senate is ready and willing to work and improve relationships with the leadership of the counties that now sits together as a Council of Governors. But we are concerned that the Council of Governors is becoming a gossip club and that the Council of Governors is becoming a trade union to defend impunity. We will not avail ourselves as a Senate to discuss gossip. And the Speaker of the Senate, I think, has put out a strong statement this afternoon, saying that instead of gossiping and mudslinging, provide evidence to support any allegations that you might have on the conduct of members of the Senate. But we will avail ourselves very readily and very quick if the conversation is about the drought situation in the 23 counties. Governor, I passed through Narok over the weekend and I could see that parts of Narok could be suffering severe drought. If that is the agenda, we will come, we'll suspend all our business and we'll avail ourselves. We'll avail ourselves if the discussion is on how to raise 450 billion as division of revenue. We will avail ourselves if the discussion is how to ensure that there are strong intergovernmental agreements, because the national government is doing a lot of housing projects on county land, markets, stadia, and I think even hospitals. I think there's an audit query here where you have transferred your hospital to the DOD. We'll avail ourselves for that conversation. We'll avail ourselves for a conversation on how to improve the lot of ECD teachers. We'll avail ourselves for a conversation on how to transfer the roads function to counties, and that is in this audit report. But we will not avail ourselves for a conversation on gossip, mudslinging, character assassination, and I think, as I said, the guilty are afraid. Anyone doing monkey business in the county should be very afraid of the Senate. But if you are doing the right thing, you should walk into the Senate confidently, the way the governor of Narok has walked to the Senate. Now let's proceed and test the confidence. Let's now eat the pudding, because we said that is where the proof is. Very nicely presented documents. Let's see whether we can judge this book by the cover. Because of time, we had already gone through this report and the Auditor General has taken us through. We are not going to waste time on accounting issues. But there could be 3 or 4 issues that we must deal with. One, and take note, is on pending bills. 2 will look at a few projects. 3, there is this audit query on county spending money on Kera roads. 4 will be contributions to pension schemes. 5 will be grounded assets. And 6, on the receipt of revenue, will look at the issue of caps. There is an audit query there. I think if we deal with those, the rest of the issues, we can take the written responses. Honorable members, if that is in order, then I can direct us straight away to the issue of pending bills. It is implied under issue number 2 on unsupported expenditure on rentals or produced assets. But Auditor General, as we had discussed earlier, you did not highlight the issue of pending bills in Narok. And so on this, I think I just want us to have a conversation, Governor, on pending bills. Just a conversation so that we understand where we are. Auditor General, what was the pending bill for Narok as at the close of the financial year? And honorable members, I think we are guided by note number 32 in the financial statements.
Thank you, Chair. The total trade and other payables balance was 6,659,641,072 shillings. Thank you, Chair.
So I know that we no longer call it pending bills, it's called trade payables, but I mean, it's still the same. It's money that we owe to suppliers and contractors. So, Governor, we were a bit alarmed to see that your trade payables or pending bills had increased from 773 million to 6.6 billion. Can your bookkeepers explain that, or are you able to explain that? That's almost 9 times growth. Why don't you read the query first? Governor, we want to be efficient, so we are not going to go through these, the details of this query on rental. I think it's important that when you're here, the people of Narok have an assurance that those who have done work will be paid, and they will be paid on a timely basis, and there will be no witch hunt that past bills are not being paid. Yeah, so could you just explain that trend?
Honorable Chair, the issue of pending bills, from where we sit is the total amount of the projects done by the county government. And from where I sit, when I look at 6.6 from 773, these must be the total amount of money that we have spent for the projects that we have done in the entire, I think, 2 years, not 1 year, as indicated here.
Now, you see that your financial statements are supposed to be authoritative and indicative of what you owe. And we have had this conversation with the auditor. I think we might want to ask the auditor to do some deeper analysis. But the people who prepared your financial statements, we have almost 1 billion in terms of unremitted contributions to statutory unremitted retirement benefits contribution of 1.9 billion. Ideally, that should have been disclosed as employee payables under your trade and other payables. So that was not disclosed. Another thing that you ought to do was aging of the debt, so that if your debt is 6.6 billion, we are able to tell how old is it? Is it over 3 years? Is it within 1 year? Again, you did not make that disclosure. Now, the reason why I have a problem is that the auditor is telling us that you provided them with an aging analysis. Auditor, is that the case?
Yes, Chair, we had a schedule indicating that all these were within 1 year.
Did that schedule disclose staff payables?
Yes, 1.911 billion.
So is that 1.9 over and above the 6.6 billion?
No, Chair, it is included.
But it is not in the financial statement. And this is a financial statement that we are considering. Senator Asifuna?
Yeah, Chair, also, you know, Governor, you have told us that that amount is not for 1 year. But the aging analysis that you provided to the auditor, he says it was only for 1 financial year. And because your statements here, the financials themselves, there is supposed to be numbers in this aging analysis. But whoever prepared the financial statements has indicated 0 on each of those years. So how are we supposed to trust that what you're telling us is the correct position?
Maybe before the governor answers that question, Chair. Auditors, do you have this aging analysis of these bills, of the 6.6 billion? Because from note 32, I can only see trade payables. And also when we go back to your query, you don't relate back to it. You just, if you could supply us, give us that breakdown of the 6.6. Do you have it with you? Because you said you are providing it was for 1 year.
And you know you're the one who has caused yourself problems by saying you have it. Ideally, we should be demanding from the governor.
Yes, Chair, we can provide.
Senator Chirati?
It is interesting today the OAG is providing evidence. Anyway, that's a story for another day. In this 6.6 billion, Governor, there was 773 million. The OAG indicates, Governor, that this one was within 1 year. So this growth of 5.9 billion, this pending bill or trade payables or pending bills, what is it? Maybe you can give us a global view. What is it about? Were you able to start mega projects, or the issue of retentions and deposits? This growth, because we have never seen this, because I don't know how much Narok receives, but looking at 6.6 billion, that growth in 1 year of a pending bill is too huge to raise a lot of concern. So can you assure us that this 6.6 billion pending bill, one, what was it about? And secondly, can you provide evidence of budgetary allocation to ensure that the businessmen and women of Narok and other Kenyans who are supplying goods and services are paid in time and they can get value for money? Finally, Chair, on aging analysis, I don't know, some of us would really wish to see it. If you can allow the OAG, I know it's not acceptable to get the evidence as the hearing is ongoing, but you would request that if we can get that copy of aging analysis so that we can get the perspective. But Governor, maybe you can restate if it is this aging analysis, it is 1 year, then it is still within the financial statements that we are providing.
Amount. Otherwise, I yield back to the chair.
We had a conversation on this. We have told the Auditor General that they need to do a deeper analysis, and you listen to the comment by Senator Chirati in passing that it's not the auditor to provide evidence, it is the county. The evidence we have before us is that your trade and other payables grew 9 times from 773 million to 6.6 billion. That is a matter that ought to have been investigated and ought to have been raised by the auditor. Since the auditor did not raise that, it is important for us to take a report to the House because for every county we have queried pending bills. Because that's where, you know, we are hurting suppliers, we are hurting businesses, businesses are shutting down if you're holding on to 6 billion of money that is supposed to be paid. So I think, Clerk, we might want to ask this county to specifically respond on one, how come your pending bills grew 9 times in 1 year? Number 2, provide us with a proper aging analysis. We don't have it. It's not the duty of the Auditor General to provide it. It is the duty of the county to provide it. Number 3, how come staff payables have not been disclosed in the schedule for trade and other payables? Number 4, your payment plan for the 6 billion. And that payment plan must be in line with what we are calling the Ledamo Lekina motion, because your senator brought a motion to the House giving guidance on how counties should settle pending bills, and will be asking for the extent to which you have complied with that resolution. And the last one will be the control of budget. We'll be asking the control of budgets whether you have done a payment plan. And if there's been no payment plan, we'll be advising the control of budget to freeze further requisitions unless you are able to settle the 6.6 billion. I think, members, if we can get answers on that, it can enable us to do a report to the House.
If in addition to the governor, inclusive of the payment plan, provide us with the extract of budgetary allocation, what you have allocated, because this 6.6 billion, looking at you are receiving more than 17.4 billion. Of course, I have not included the revenue, the on-source revenue raises an alarm. So, Chair, through the Chair, the governor can provide us with the budgetary extraction of how much, because there was a county chair who was paying 100 million per year. You can imagine if you have to pay 100 million per year against 6.6 billion, will take many years until you have retired. So, Governor, can you provide us with the extra budgetary allocation so that we can provide comfort to the people who supply goods and services? I yield back, Chair.
So I hope our directions are clear, and this is not for the auditor to respond to. Auditor, you have to be extremely careful. This is a duty of the entity to provide the disclosure, which they did not do properly in the financial statements. Now, honorable members, let's tie that then to the substantive audit issue on unremitted retirement benefits contributions, because they are linked. So, Auditor General, can you read your finding, and then we consider the governor's response? Unremitted retirement benefits contribution of 1.9 billion. In the audit certificate is page 11.
Thank you, Chair. Review of records provided for audit revealed that the county executive owed an amount of 1,911,131,070 to 3 pension funds, which comprise of outstanding contributions and interest balance of Kenya shillings 134,981,919 and 1,728,035,170 as tabulated in the table as shown. That was owed to county pension funds, then local authorities pension trust and lab fund, all totaling to the 1.911 billion. However, management has not made any effort to clear the outstanding amount, which continue to attract penalties. Further, continued non-remittance is a persistent material breach of the measures established under the Public Finance Management Act and the ability of pension funds to service retirement benefits, as and when such benefits fall due, the retiring employees may have been adversely affected. This was contrary to Regulation 22(2)A of the Public Finance Management County Government Regulations of 2015, which requires that in addition to the responsibility of accounting officers provided in the Act, an accounting officer designated under the Act or any other Act shall comply with any tax, levy, duty, pension commitments and audit commitments as may be provided by the legislation. In the circumstances, management was in breach of the law.
Governor, you may respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. The county government acknowledged the observation regarding the outstanding pension contribution and accrued interest owed to the 3 pension schemes, namely the County Pension Fund Scheme, Local Authority Pension Trust, and Local Authority Providence Fund, amounting to 1.9 million shilling. However, A total of 426 million was paid during the year under review. The delay in full remittance arose mainly due to the historical carry forward arrears inherited from the defunct local authorities, coupled with reverse revenue shortfalls during the previous financial period. Nevertheless, the county government has since prioritized settlement of the pension arrears as part of the fiscal obligation under Regulation 22(2)A of the Public Finance Management, County Government Regulation 2015, and the County Government Retirement Scheme Act 2019. To date, Chair, payment totaling 26 million have been made. 826, sorry. To date, payments totaling Kenya shilling 826 million have been made across the three schemes, which gives a balance of 1 billion, which the management has prioritized to settle in the subsequent financial years. The county treasury has also developed a structure, arrears clearance plan for the next 3 financial years, 2025, 2026, to the year 2027, 2028, detailing annual allocation earmarked to offset the remaining balances. In addition, Honorable Chair, the county has instituted an internal mechanism to ensure current pension deductions and employee contributions are remitted promptly on a monthly basis. These include integrating a payroll and pension remittance system, regular reconciliation with the pension administrators, and quarterly monitoring by the county internal audit unit. The county government reaffirmed its full commitment to ensuring compliance with pension regulations to comply, clearing all outstanding obligations within the agreed time frame to safeguard outstanding obligation within the agreed, to safeguard employees' retirement benefits and prevent further penalties. Lab fund statement supporting payment extract from lab fund, lab trust, and also CPF DC scheme are attached for verification. Appendix 12, when you look at the appendix, we have the lab fund statement and payment vouchers.
Okay, Auditor General, you said you had interacted with those documents. What's your opinion?
Chair, the documentation attached have been reviewed and confirmed, and that the matter is progressively being addressed. So, Chair, we confirm that 1.085 billion is still outstanding.
Are you able to give us an assurance that current deductions are being remitted? Because there's a historical reconciliation problems, but then there's a monthly payroll that is being processed. Governor, can you give us the assurance that you are currently deducting and remitting? Or are you still deducting and piling it up?
Chair, can I add just a simple question in your addition? Governor, through the chair, because one of the observations in the OAG certificate indicated that you are likely to attract penalties on interest. Is that the position? I yield back, Chair.
Maybe Senator Ledamo Lekina?
I think for me, Mr. Chairman, given that these are issues that is affecting all the counties, I just wanted to know from the governor whether you are engaging these statutory bodies to be able to do away with the penalties and the interest. Because I'm aware that other counties are actually having that conversation, especially the interest and penalties that you inherited from the defunct local authorities, as well as the interest that you inherited from the previous administration. Because I think this 1.9 billion, and maybe you can tell us what percentage of it is actual contribution vis-a-vis the interest and the penalties.
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. I want to confirm to you that the total amount you see 1.9, almost about 400 million is on interest that has been accruing for since the time of the defunct county councils, and partly the last 10 years. But as Senator for Narok has just asked whether we are engaging, indeed we are. We are having talks with the three funds so that they can waive away the interest. That will mean that if they can remove about 400 million Kenya shilling here, you can see that it will be owing about 600. And that is a figure that we can settle within the next 2 financial years.
No.
And on the issue of remittance, we are indeed on time. We remit all our dues when we are paying the salary. Every 26th month of the month, when salaries are paid, we remit the fund.
The only way to confirm that is we provide an aging analysis of the 1.9. Right. Yeah. So alongside the aging analysis, because this was part of the pending bills, that's why we tied them together. Alongside that aging analysis, you must do an aging analysis for the trade payables and staff payables. Let's separate them, because in terms of oral submission, we cannot establish that the bad habits of the past are not happening now, unless we see a proper aging analysis.
Governor, your area senator made a very critical point. You have done well by diverging that out to 1.9, 400 million is accrued interest. But I've looked at your annexes, in one of the LAF fund annex 12 that you have provided, I cannot see any correspondence that you have tried to, with the LAF fund and all these schemes, you have started to request them to waive the interest and penalties. Because I know, Chair, even when you discuss with KRA, they are more likely. Is there engagement to ensure that because you have said this is 1 year, but Chair, in the reading of the LAF fund letter, it says after 15th of the preceding month, you will always attract an interest. So is there an engagement to ensure that even as you pay the balance of 1.08 billion, they cannot impose on you in these 2 financial years another interest? Is there an engagement of such sort? I yield back, Chair.
Governor?
Chair, yes, we have the engagement. I can produce the letters that we have written to the 3 funds, and we are in talk with them. I didn't bring it because it was not one of the issues that I thought we needed it. But indeed, as Senator for Nandi has indicated, we have studied, and there's some good talks that they might actually waive this amount if we can pay another 400 million to show that at least we are trying. These funds also have their rules and regulations that govern them. And I have those letters, several of them.
Now, Governor, the last time I had a conversation with the chair of the Council of Governors, it was on this subject. That's the last time we had a conversation with him, and we were trying to find a way of taking a global view, because it's a matter that cuts across many of the counties. Even though in Kwale demonstrated that they didn't have outstanding pension obligations. But I think Nairobi has a serious problem. The cities have big problems, and now Narok is joining that list. And you see, this is the kind of conversation that we'd be very happy to have with the COG and governors. And the chair of COG, in his own admission, he calls this theft. He agrees this is theft because, first of all, you have requisitioned money, gross, which includes these pension deductions, and you are not paying it. You have also deducted it from the employee. You have pinched the employee's payslip, so the employee is taking home less, and you are not remitting it. And we agreed that even though this was, things of the past, there is no other way to describe it. You are stealing from yourself, you are stealing from the employee, and not remitting. When you go to the pension fund and say you want to waive interest, you are again stealing from the employee. Because it is that interest, that money is supposed to be invested so that when the employee retires, he can get something out of the invested contributions. So if you go and scrap the interest, again, you are stealing from the employee, you are denying the pension funds money. And we had agreed that this is such a critical matter that the Senate and the relevant committee of the Council of Governors should sit down and ask whether there's some laws that need to be tightened or regulations that need to be tightened. I know for now we have agreed the control of budget, that when counties requisition gross, then you pay employees net, and then you do not remit the deductions, they should not approve the next requisition. I don't know whether they're already putting in place that control. But this is a matter that requires engagement between the Council, the Senate, and the pension funds. And we shall avail ourselves for that conversation. But for us to see the extent of the problem, please provide an aging analysis of unremitted retirement benefit contributions for Narok. That will enable us to make appropriate recommendations. If we find the habit is ongoing, we shall define it as theft. And we shall make very strong recommendations on those who are stealing from employees and stealing from the county. Senator Ledamo.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, I agree. But one of the things that we must now tighten our belts and also our rules in terms of remittance from the COG to the county governments. Because I think this is also affecting, to be honest with you, it is affecting our Senate offices, where when we are supposed to get an exchequer release, and pay salaries, it delays. And these statutory bodies want their money on time. So I think this is a conversation we need to have, all of us, and discuss on how, when there are delays, some counties, and I don't know whether Narok is the same, sometimes the COB delays releasing money for 3 months. So counties stay for 3 months without getting their salaries. So of course, Lab Fund will want their money on time. So I think this is something that we may need to consider reviewing the legislation, looking at the Constitution as well, because you know the Constitution is not static. Even though the Constitution says that a share of revenue given to the county government shall be released without undue deductions, we may want to consider whether we deduct and pay directly to the statutory bodies and send the net to the counties so that they can pay the employees to stop this problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
When we do that, we'll have admitted that counties are incompetent. If we pay the statutory deductions from the center, we'll have admitted that county governments...
Chair, I think it's a growing frustration with the Senate, because you remember, other than Ledama's motion, which we passed last time, Ledama's motion was passed by the entire House, and Senator, because you were not here, some in the Council of Governors have told us in this committee, not your governor, the governor for Embu came and told us that she will be writing to the Senate to say we were not very wise in passing that motion, which you yourself drafted. You know, we have a very interesting situation, Chair. We have young people, suppliers in the counties who are owed millions of shillings. In Nairobi here, our pending bill, Governor, is over 1 billion shillings, 100 billion.
100 billion.
And people come to my office and they break down. They tell me, Sifuna, I have been auctioned, all my equipment has been taken away by the banks. How is it not possible for us to get this payment? Then motions such as Ledama's are brought to the Senate floor. We see the sense in him saying bills below 1 billion shillings should be paid by the end of the last financial year. That's what you passed, what we passed as a House. Then a county governor comes and tells us, oh, by the way, you people just pass things that you don't think through. Maybe we should swap places with Cecily Marire. I want to be the governor of Embu and she comes and does the work in the Senate on behalf of the people of Nairobi. Because how is it possible to argue like that? When we sit together, we would like to see solutions to problems, Governor. We want to see solutions to problems. Because at the end of the day, it is not just about who is who or who is what. It's about providing actual solutions to the people. So we were so desperate as a Senate that we even said, I remember during that debate, Senator Ledama, we said even these pending bills now, if the county governments are not able to follow the law that says that there shall be a first charge. And I remember this same governor from Embu, when we asked her what is her understanding of the words first charge. What does first charge mean to her? You know, so if we are unable to, Senator, we are unable to enforce that, maybe we should tell Treasury to take over the pending bills for counties and pay directly from here. Because, Chair, which other way is there to deal with this problem?
It will be micromanagement of counties. Already, these counties, and I mean, this is the conversation we should be having in the Senate. You find the national government takes over your hospital. There's a hospital here which you are told that the DOD has taken over. They do the procurement themselves, they do the work themselves. What are they confirming? That you are incompetent. We saw in Nyandarua, where they took over JM Karaoke Memorial Hospital. They didn't even change the contractor. It was transferred to the DOD, the same contractor. The money paid directly, not through the county. What are they trying to say? Is that you are incompetent. And it will go on and on. You'll find that even a stadium, you own the land, the national government says they are helping you to build a stadium, but they are controlling the procurement, they are paying the contractors directly. It is a growing threat to devolution. And so if we get to a point where Treasury is the one paying pending bills, then it will put to serious question the competence of governors and the governments that they run. I don't know, Governor, whether...
Chair, I understand what you're saying. Okay. Sorry. Chair, but put yourself in the shoes of these county suppliers. Put yourself in their situation. Maybe instead of saying Treasury should pay it directly, they should give that money to the Senate. We pay ourselves. we pay the suppliers because, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, the frustration is the suppliers know that the money has been requisitioned.
Correct.
But they're not getting paid.
Yes.
Yet the money has left the public office.
Maybe in addition, and I want to agree largely with what Senator Sifuna is saying, but Senator Sifuna and Governor, we have an history of medical equipment supplies, the mess, where counties used to have more than 200 million being deducted automatically in Nairobi, in Treasury. And it became what we call an organized criminal enterprise of public ripoff. In fact, that is quote unquote the report that was tabled by the committee of the Senate in the last session. I think, Chair, when we met and we have sat with the controller of budget, I think under your guidance in the last session, the controller of budget, and we asked her if Narok County, for purposes of discussion, Senator Ledama, they have requisition with the COP to pay Senator Ledama for Nkanasa milk, maybe 100 million, for example. Now, I'm just using as an example for purposes of discussion.
constitution, you amend State House and the people who occupy it. And they will release money on time.
Now, Senator Spura is out of order.
It's also a proposal that I have tabled, Chair.
Now let's proceed to the next issue.
I don't know what is the obsession with Senator Spura on State House. I can take you.
I think our guidance on this is that we need a detailed aging analysis of unremitted retirement benefit contribution. And we have said that if the habit is going on right now, we shall define it as theft. And we shall make very strong recommendations because we want to differentiate between past thieves and current thieves. So let's go to grounded assets managed by a contracted service provider. That is the next matter. Auditor General, what is your finding? The matter just after unremitted retirement benefits contributions.
Page 32 in the responses. Thank you, Chair. During the physical inspection of the machines in the custody of a contracted service provider, it was observed that despite the county executive's heavy expenditure to ensure that the equipment are well maintained and serviced, the following machines are currently not in use and are either grounded or unserviceable or grounded and unserviceable. Chair, there is a list of eight machines, including a backhoe, 2 fuel tankers, a grader, a semi-trailer, a shovel, and 2 tippers.
However, all grounded and serviceable.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
However, management did not submit any mechanical engineer's reports to confirm the current condition of the machines. Further, review of records revealed that the county executive purchased 6 concrete mixer 400L and 2 reversible drum concrete mixers. However, the equipment has not been put into any meaningful use as the equipment are left idling and decaying in the yard. It was not possible to confirm why the county executive acquired this equipment if they did not intend to put them to use. Further, it was also noted that the mixers were not tagged as marked as county executive machines. In addition, it was observed that the county executive is currently providing office space for the service provider in the county executive facility. However, no documents have been provided by management to explain the circumstances that warranted the provision of office space to the service provider despite being paid in excess of Kenya shillings 300 million per year by the county executive to take care of the county executive equipment. Similarly, no evidence has been provided to confirm whether the service provider pays rent to the county executive for using the county executive facility or how the county executive benefits from the arrangement of providing office space. In the circumstances, the value for money for the expenditure incurred on the service provider to maintain the county executive's equipment may not be achieved. Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairman, the county executive acknowledged that the listed machines were observed as grounded during the inspection period. However, it is important to note that all of the equipment by the time of the audit inspection were either awaiting repair or had been repaired awaiting scheduled work. The mechanical inspection report for the 8 machines listed have been hereby submitted to this committee, confirming the condition of each machine as attached to this response. Regarding the concrete mixture, the 400L and reverse drum mixture, as at the time of audit inspection, the concrete mixtures were returned back to the yard for cleaning and servicing, awaiting next schedule of work. All our machines are branded and properly marked as Narok County executive machines with specific identification numbers. Honorable Chair, to guarantee the security of our more than 120 earth-moving equipment, the county government deemed it fit to have the services provider be domiciled within the precinct of the county government facility. This will enable the county not only observe but also supervise appropriately the management of the mentioned equipment to enable achievement of deliverable as per terms of reference. Our value for money assurance. The county executive remain committed to ensuring that all equipment in its custody is maintained in optimal condition and that public resources are used efficiently. Honorable Chair, I refer to Appendix 13, mechanical inspection report, and also tagging pictures to show those equipment. Thank you, Chair.
Now, Governor, just explain to us, just paint a picture for us. Yes. You have 120 earth-moving equipment. Right. You have handed them over to a third party, whom you are paying 300 million per year. Right. What are they supposed to deliver for 300 million per year?
Thank you very much, Chair. These moving machines are very important in rural counties like Narok because of the many kilometers that you have to do per road. And therefore, what these machines do is that we station at every sub-county. For example, I have 6 sub-counties. So we station a full set of machines in that sub-county, whereby the MCA, the 4 MCAs or 5 MCAs in that particular sub-county, sat and give out a work plan for these machines. And at the end of every month, we go through and see whether the service provider has indeed done as planned. And a number of things normally happen, depending on the rain season and depending also on certain regions, because some regions really rain a lot, like the northern part of the county. Remember also, in my county, I have to manage Masai Mara. Masai Mara is, we require those machines, about another all 2 sets, to make sure that all roads are passable for our tourists who are VIPs, and even probably some of you who have visited Masai Mara, when you use, planes, you have to land on what we call Maram airstrip. Those Maram airstrips is a daily routine that they have to maintain so that an aeroplane does not stuck in the middle of an airstrip. So, Honorable Chair, since we got this machine for the last 3 years, actually 2 years, I must tell you that we have done more than 3,000 kilometers of roads. And mostly we are opening new ones. It's a lot of work. When you go to those sub-counties, you see a lot of work being done on these by this moving machine. So what are we paying for these 300 million? 300 million, Chair, you can compare with 1 or 2 vehicles that probably you have. You need to maintain, you need to service, you need to replace, stuff like, tires, engines, knocks, all manner of things. So it's, and also the fuel. Fueling those vehicles, 120, and they are going at a go, it's a big job that you have to pay for that.
The 300 includes fuel.
What is that?
The 300 million includes fuel. Fuel for the machines.
Only service. Only service. Yes.
The drivers and operators.
Yeah. The service provider pay for them on that 300 million.
They are not employees of the county.
No, these are employees of the service provider.
The service provider.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a lot of it's a big operation.
I think honorable members, let's Senator Sifuna, Senator Shirati.
I'm a bit confused, Governor. Why have a standard global figure of 300 million? Because if somebody is doing repairs to a machine, it is not expected that it will be the same amount throughout. I mean, why can't they be paid for the piece of work that they deliver? If machine X needs servicing, you pay for that. It is possible that you could spend less on that if it was piecemeal like that. Then secondly, Governor, the auditor has said that the equipment, the 2 concrete mixer and the reversing drum concrete mixer was left idling and decaying in the yard. That cannot be the same as what you are describing, that they had been taken for cleaning.
Okay. Before you respond, Senator Kiambu, go on record.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Karungo Adhamwa, Senator of Kiambu County. Good afternoon, Governor and your team. I'm happy to see you. You know, I had read the news that governors are not coming. I had come to witness. Good to see you.
Karibu, Senator. The last time you were seen in Narok, you were causing problems in the last by-election. I hope you have not come to cause problems.
And I'm happy to deal with him properly. So, Chair, that's beside the point.
Chair.
Let's get Senator.
Sorry.
Chair, you know,
he had called me.
You know, we are co-spokesmen for the state. So I think, Chair, one would be interested to know whether this service provider was competitively sourced. This service provider, was he competitively sourced? Right? Is there any evidence to that effect? Maybe we can...
Okay, fine. Take note of that. Senator Ledama, then Senator Cherarki.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think what I wanted clarity, Governor, is on the amount which was being asked of 300 million, whether it is only for service or whether this contractor uses this equipment to be able to open these roads. I think you need to make that very clear so that the committee can be able to understand that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cherarki?
Chair, maybe mine will be very specific. Governor, I heard you have is it since your chief officer of roads here, an engineer? Yes, yeah. Engineer is in charge of roads. Yes. Chair, maybe you can tell us, I thought this standard figure of 300 million, these are machines. I thought there should be a maintenance schedule or the outsourcing, so I don't think you need a standard of 300. So my concern, apart from tagging and the servicing and maintenance, this year that is being talked about, is it a secure place? Who manages it? Number one. Number two, how do you get spares and ensure that there is maintenance is up to date? And then I thought the machines are based on need assessment. Because even if I take today, the service is standard. If you take your car for service, it's standard. But sometimes you need to replace brake pads or other major parts. So my concern is, does the chief officer in line or the CC who is here can tell us how is the schedule of arrangement of maintenance of these machines? And finally, on the issue of tagging, Chair, do you have a complete asset register? Because while we agree that I know Narok, and some of us have many interests in Narok, and they are good interests, is that it is a rainy place. I know the problem we're having is the issue of soil. You know, sometimes you need a lot to do it on your roads. So my concern, how is the mapping of ensuring that you have said it is the MCAs and maybe sub-county level, is it stayed in a chief's office or a DC's office for protection? Maybe you can highlight or rather yield back.
Okay. Governor, you could respond to the issues.
Thank you very much, Chair. And first and foremost, allow me to say that since we got this machine, a lot of work we have been able to do a lot of work and save money. If, for example, and I'm just giving you a rough figure, if you are to give a contract, you know, to do you 1 kilometer in a bushy place or in remote areas, you probably pay between 800 to 2 million, you know. But if you have your own machines, which we have bought, 120, you can save a lot of money because it's only this management company that will hire the employees. He's the one who has the mechanics, the engineers who will do the work. Our work, for example, the Department of Roads, we have engineers who look after the service of this equipment on a daily, on a monthly basis, or if a machine, for example, has a bigger problem, then we access and see how are we going to fix that particular machine. But again, we thought that that was a good idea to give a service provider, because your guess is good as mine. We probably sometimes don't have the capacity as county to manage that kind of equipment. Look at even when we were growing up, because all of you know, Ministry of Roads, in those old days. the national government nowadays don't have those machines because of mismanagement. So when we sat down with my MCAs and the leadership of Narok, we thought that the best way is to give out for a service provider who is answerable for any of these machines. I was surprised when I hear that about the mixtures. Those mixtures are very important because those are the ones that they use to construct either bridges or culverts, stuff like that. So this garage, the garage that we are talking about, that garage is only there when when service is done. But most of the time, the tractors and the tippers are all over the county. We hardly have machine just sitting down without some work. So they have some small tent camps whereby we station our equipment where by evening they stay there and then move from that place to another. I want to bring the senators to understand that we're talking about 17,000 square kilometers. Whereby, to do one road is either 40 kilometers, 20, 30 kilometers, or even 100 kilometers in a certain road. So the 300 million can sometimes be a little bit more, but we have just, and I think that's what the auditors have, is that roughly about 300 million. Normally it doesn't go 350.
Is it a fixed amount or it's...
It's not fixed because obviously some months are expensive than others. And depending on
the wording of the Auditor General is in excess of 300 million.
Yes, that means that,
so it's not a fixed 300.
It's not a fixed, not at all, not at all. Because it depends on month. Some months you get many breakages than the other month. So it is not fixed.
Now, I do recall this matter has been considered by this committee before.
Yes.
I think at the time of purchase of the equipment,
we went through
there were certain issues around budget variations.
Correct.
We went through it, but we took a global view that this would have a positive impact on the people, even though I think there was still a pending issue of violation of the PFM Act and regulations on variation, because I think you recall when you got into office, there was no budget. Right. And then you provided a huge budget for it. Yes. How much was this, if you do recall?
I think the amount that we paid for the moving machine, the 120, is around 1.6 billion.
1.6 billion.
Correct.
As at the time we queried this matter,
yes,
I think some equipment had not been delivered. I think that was sometime last year or a year back. Yeah. Can you confirm to this committee that all the equipment as per the LSO have now been delivered?
As a matter of fact, Chairman, we have all logbooks for all our machines. All have been delivered and all are working in the field.
So a comparison of the order and a comparison of the delivery, we will get to that conclusion that everything has been delivered.
Correct, and we can always provide to this committee to look at it.
I think provide that detail to the auditor, because it's a continuation of the query we had previously. We must give assurance to the people of Narok that what was ordered, what was paid for, is what has been delivered. Members, can we tie this to Kera? Because I'm wondering if the county has spent 1.6 billion.
Chair, sorry, you didn't say, Governor, through the Chair, Governor, you didn't say something about your asset, because I was worrying about the tagging of your assets. Do you have a complete asset register? So that we can so that we know all your assets are well tagged and well captured for the purposes of protection. Do you have a complete asset register? Sorry, Chair, for
yes, Senator of Nandi. Indeed, we have a register, a full register of all, not just the moving machine, even our own vehicles, the one that the governor used or the CCs. All the vehicles that we have in the county government are well registered with a number plate, and remember, all our number plate is 033. So, you have all those numbers in a register.
Fine, so we'll keep this in view. I know there was an issue of the rent, the office rent. Now, auditor, you'll have to confirm if in the contract there's a clause that requires the service provider to pay for rent. If there's a clause in the contract, did you see that? Because you have queried it here.
Chair, I'd like to confirm that.
That there is?
No, Chair, if given... Sorry?
You are saying the service provider is living rent-free in the county premises?
I would request that we confirm with the contract, whether there is such a clause.
Please do so. By the time we're writing a report, we need to have that information, because if they are supposed to pay rent and they are not paying rent, then someone must be held to account.
But just on a point of clarity, and maybe Governor, you can clarify this. Why is it that the service provider is being housed by the county? I have read your response and you've indicated that it is because you want to have a clear eye. Is there any other circumstance that led to you asking the service provider to be domiciled there in terms of operations?
Thank you, Senator and Chair. There is no that contract. I mean, they are not paying anything. I need to clarify that, and the Auditor General can check that. You see, Honorable Senators, I'm trying to bring you so that you can know that these machines are not domiciled in the office. Machines are all over the county. The only time that machines can be brought to the yard is when major repairs are done. Or, you know, there is something like, for example, somebody is going for, or let me not put it as an example, but basically, this is a small, you know, space that we as a county government, we have, and we say that because the Department of Roads and Infrastructure is domiciled there, we can have this machine so that the CCM for roads, the CEO, and all the workers are right there to make sure that if service is done, you know, we also have our own engineers who will look at it, whether they have done it the right thing, whether they have put the right spares, whether the machines are maintained well as per the agreement. There is so much that is going on there that is not just this, you know, provider that is staying there. No, it's a whole department that sits there to make sure that, you know, these machines are very sensitive. If you give them to be misused, then it will mean that you can destroy the whole 1.6 billion in a year. And this is something that we as a county government will not allow, because these machines are very important for us. You can imagine Masai Mara without these machines. It means that the tourists will not go there. And that's why we are getting our own source revenue.
Governor, yes. And I'm happy that Senator for Kiambu, who is a former chair of the Roads Committee, is here. So we have a query, a very interesting query here. Irregular funding of national government projects, where the Auditor General is saying that you are doing work on roads that should be worked on by KERA, Kenya Rural Roads Authority. I think just globally, from a policy perspective, what then does KERA do in Narok? You have 120 equipment, you bought at 1.6 billion, you are paying 300 million every other year. What then, what is, can you give us a highlight? What is KERA doing? You have opened 2,000 kilometers of roads. What is KERA doing in Narok?
They're in the first place.
Well, thank you, thank you, Senator. Yes, they have some roads that they call that, you know, these are their roads, but very few roads, if I may say. But also, like I said before, that this is one of the biggest counties in terms of, you know, square kilometers. So that's a drop in the ocean, whatever amount that they normally, you know, budget for that, which normally the MPs are the one who, you know, supervise and do the roads. But to come to this question, I don't know whether I should go straight to the question of...
remember, because of time,
yes,
we are almost 1 hour past.
Okay.
But this is a conversation that we must contextualize. That counties are now investing in heavy equipment at a huge cost. Counties are now doing their roads. What is this KERA that sits in Nairobi? What is their relevance? What is their role in county governments? And I don't know whether Senator Karungo, the time you are chairing the Roads Committee, I know we were together. I don't know whether we had formed an opinion on on the relationship between KERA and county governments.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think this is a debate that is not yet concluded on the issue of the mandate of KERA. But I remember we were working on an amendment of the Roads Act to make sure that the RMLF or the monies that goes to KERA should go to the counties, so that the counties can manage those roads. Otherwise, what the county government is doing and KERA is duplication of functions, And I think the governor and Kera should sit down to understand what roads fall where. Otherwise, there will be duplication. And of course, this is breeding of corruption, because when the county government makes a road that is meant for Kera, or vice versa, then Kera would table those documents or the pictures of that road as their own, meaning that that's how we lose money, or vice versa. So I think this is a debate as a Senate chair. We need to conclude to make sure that this money goes to the counties, because these roads belong to the counties.
Auditor, could there be a case of double accounting here? That the county has spent on a road, and then Kera also reports that it has spent on the same road? Because what usually happens is, like now you have Masantare Junction to Ololunga Center. So in Kera records, the road will be Ololunga to Masantare. They just change, change and then account for the same amount of money that the county has used. Auditor, how do we ensure that that is not the mischief?
Maybe, Chair, what we do, there is in the office, we have a department that is auditing the road sector, and we collaborate. We collaborate to ensure that what is spent in the county is not also reflected in the Kera or Kena. So we interchange, we share the information from both ends.
So in this case, are you able to give us an assurance that there was no double accounting, or it's something that you need to go and look into?
No, we can give assurance that there's none of such kind.
But at the same time, Chairman, I think the conversation needs to expand further to a point where if a county like Narok is able to do those roads, the funds that are normally sent to Kera should be sent to the county government to be able to continue doing those roads. Because, I mean, being the Senator of Narok, I can tell you this with an affirmative, that Kera is doing nothing in Narok. You know, I mean, and I traverse most of the counties in Kenya, including Kiambu, where I don't know whether you're still the current or the former chair of roads, and those roads are all, tarmacked. So I think the key most important thing to do now. That is not true,
not all of them. Kera is also not doing anything.
I did not say all, I said most.
Right.
My language is very clear. So I think it's important that we have this conversation, and Auditor, it would be good for you to give us a list of the roads that Kera is doing in Narok, so that if they're not doing any, then we can be able to advance this conversation on sending more money to Narok.
Thank you. Senator Cherargei.
Chair, one, I think, Governor, the issue is, I've seen you talk about reclassification, but maybe just for purposes of clarity, you will say something about Article 187, because these roads had been classified by Kenya Road Sport on this span of over 303,765,850 on the implementation of such projects, especially as provided by the Constitution. Chair, finally, as Governor takes on that, and I can see there is Mansantare Junction or Ololunga Center. You know, my Kalenjin people have sung about Ololunga. There is a famous song in Kikalenjin, Chair. I don't know whether the standing orders can allow me to build 1 or 2 lines.
No, you are not allowed.
Okay.
Proceed. This is a mathematical session, not a musical session.
Okay. So, Chair, let me there lie. I remember Monica Luale once sang on the floor of the Senate, so I thought I would be allowed. But the point I'm trying to make, Chair, I agree that Kera should be disbanded. In fact, we should not be discussing of Kera. It's unconstitutional. It is illegal. Because Kera wants to come and do village roads, which should be done by a governor. Kera in Nairobi does not know your village road in Homa Bay or in Nandi, or at least Senator Aldama lives on the road, so it's better. But some of us who live in the village, real village, Chair, would appreciate that Kera should be disbanded. The money through road maintenance levy fund should be given to the governors to fix roads at the village level. We should only allow Kena to run, even Kura, because most of the centers, Chair, in our villages are better managed by governors. So, Chair, on this issue of Kera, I hope and believe, now that you are a member of roads, we should escalate and ensure that we disband Kera and Kura, so that those money allocated, the roads within our urban centers and the villages are taken to the counties, because roads is devolved. Let us allow the Kenya to run the trans-county, trans-boundary chair. And Governor, you can see, if your colleagues in Council of Governors would come and we discuss such serious issues, instead of issuing threats of non-appearance, these are policy issues we need to sit together and fight together. Because I can assure you, Governor, all your members of National Assembly in Narok will never agree to be disbanded. Because the 40% allocated and special allocation funds is in their eating. So they will never allow, and I know Mwenda Katai, you want to be the member of parliament, but you should allow that money, 40% that is allocated to members of National Assembly, that is used to maintain roads in our constituencies, should be taken away.
Chair, I'm not going to be a member of parliament for Kera money. But of course,
no, I'm saying you should avoid bad mannerisms. That your colleagues are.
Senator Gatai is already a member of parliament.
A member of National Assembly.
Just wants to go to the.
Member of National Assembly.
I think it should be very clear. But Chair,
let's allow Senator Gatai.
There is something that I really want to agree with Senator Karongo Adhangwa, that this matter of the debate between Kera money and the county should be it should be concluded, because there is a lot of duplication. We have witnessed a very clear evidence from the governor of Narok, who has done a lot of investment in machinery and so forth. So definitely, Chair, there is nothing much Kera is doing in Narok. So I want to agree with Chair Chelagay that the member of parliament for Narok, those people who met our parliament, there must be a lot of issues to do with the Kera money. So I think this matter, Chair, must be brought to our attention. Fully, we must make sure that we expend it on this debate and make a very clear line on whether this money is supposed to go to governors or supposed to go to members of National Assembly.
Thank you. They have always said, Senator Karungo, if you recall, that counties don't have the capacity, that counties don't do anything, that counties just steal. But we are seeing evidence here of 120 equipment which has been put to use. We could use Narok as a case study and as evidence that counties can do this if the resources are transferred to them. So, Senator Ledama, then we get the governor's response.
Just briefly, I think it's a no-brainer that Kera contracts to subcontractors. They don't have their own equipment. So when you say that counties don't have capacity, a lot of these counties are buying equipment. Narok County, Uasin Gishu County, they have equipment. So really this conversation, it is upon us now. You know, and when you look at the Constitution, Article 187 is very clear in terms of cooperation between national government and county governments. If a function is better carried out by one level of government, then by no means that level of government should be allowed to do that, carry out that function. So in this case, when it comes to those rural roads, I think it's about time we do away with Kera and just move the money to the counties.
Chair, just one word. My late boss used to push very strongly for devolution, that all functions should actually be devolved, and it is one of the things that we agreed on in the MOU. But according to him, the reason why the national government doesn't want to let go of those functions is control of the resources. It's the money, because they are the ones who determine those contractors. I hear they give friendly members of parliament some of those contracts to execute. Of course, people like myself will never see any of those contracts. But it is about control of the resources. So if we are going to have an honest conversation in this country about devolution, you first of all have to have a national leadership that believes in this thing called devolution. Not people will go around saying that counties don't have capacity to be able to do this, these things. Thank you, Chair.
Governor? Honorable Chair, you see the problem here is classification of roads. Which road is for Kenya Roads, Kenya Rural Boards Authority, and which ones are county? They have never done that. The three roads that that have been mentioned by the auditor, Masandare Junction or Olunga Senda, that cost us about 82 million. These are roads that I have tarmac, and the auditor can confirm that I have finished. and actually commission that road. The other one is Narok Junction. Which actually connects also the Narok Center. And the most important one is Masai Mara University Road. These three roads as long as I remember, and I know the senator from Narok also remember, these are roads that have always been maintained by the former defunct county council. And you follow suits. Even the 10 years of the former governor, they have always maintained those roads. So when I came in, they were really in bad state. To the main road, when you talk about Narok, it's a road that connects between the highway, wheat farmers, potatoes farmers bring their produce. So when that road is not maintained, I'm waiting for the national government to do anything, if they have ever done, for 2 or 3 years. I mean, there was a lot of outcry because farmers will not move their produce from one place to another. So for me, I think, and I think the auditors will agree, kilometers.
Close this. In terms of Kera, Kura, Kenha work plan, annual work plan, to what extent are you involved as a county government of Narok?
We are not involved.
So even Kera that is working on county roads does not involve you in their annual work plan for roads?
Mostly they talk to the MPs.
We have to change that. They talk to the members of National Assembly. But you are the governor. These are county roads. So why are your colleagues in Mombasa, in Kilifi gossiping instead of dealing with these things? Surely.
Chair, maybe to assist the governor, which I rarely do, is that when you have that discussion, can you believe every member of National Assembly is given a free money by care of 40 million and another special allocation called special funds to choose their road of their wish? So I agree, Governor, even when we were having debate on road maintenance levy fund, and unfortunately the former chair of budget was saying what Sifuna is saying now, because he was on this other side, is they insisted that you do not have capacity to manage these funds, even constructing tarmacs within our centers. So, Chair, when they are doing budgeting by the National Assembly, they ensure they ring-fence this money in Kera for their eating.
That's why we had a long fight on RMLF.
Correct.
I don't know whether some of us were in the mediation committee on this thing of RMLF, and it's still an outstanding matter. So, Governor, our message to you and our message to your colleagues, there are so many things that we can talk about instead of gossiping and mudslinging. This is a matter that the Senate would definitely stand with counties. I mean, it's shocking to hear that you are the owner of the county roads, work is being done on the county roads,
you have no clue.
But you have no clue. Senator Spooner.
Chair, the most heartbreaking conversation in the context that we found ourselves this morning is that the Council of Governors came and gave us as a Senate certain assurances. They said that in this war on RMLF, we were going to be together until the end. Some of us don't like people who tell us we can go to war together. Then when the going gets tough, you cut deals behind the tent. We were very shocked, Governor, when a visit to a popular address in Nairobi ensured that the Council of Governors abandoned us in the fight for RMLF. Yes. They gave us assurances here that on this one we will be with the Senate until the end. Sasa saile tuko kwa hiyo vita, when we turn back, the governors have disappeared. They have gone to Kilifi to gossip about the Senate.
It's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. Senator Ledam?
Now, I just want to tell Sifuna, when you enter manicured lawns, you started marrying the manicure lawns and you forget what took you there.
I think let's be careful. We might wake up Senator Cherarki. He might start defending the indefensible. Now, we must...
unfair. What I always defend is defendable.
We must make some progress. And I think to tie the two issues, there are the broad policy issues where the Senate is making a commitment that It does not matter whether the governors are interested or not. We are doing this for the people. We must fast track the legislation that brings county roads under the control of governors, and resources for that should also be brought to governors. But on the specific audit issues, because the last time we queried this matter of equipment purchase, it was not clear whether all the equipment had been delivered. We are asking the Auditor General to confirm that what was ordered, the LSOs, the LPOs, has been delivered. And perhaps it's 120 equipment. It might not be possible to, it's not just about a paper comparison, but we can have the Auditor General maybe go back and confirm physically. And that can be done within that implementation time frame. Let's have the assurance that what was ordered has been delivered. We keep it in view so that we can do an impact analysis, a value for money analysis. And if it's positive, then this is a very strong case to argue for the disbandment of KERA, because we shall demonstrate that counties have the capacity to do their roads. Members, I want us to enter into the receiver of revenue because Narok is one of the counties with high revenue potential. Of course, the potential is higher than what they are currently collecting. I think in terms of ranking, Nairobi leads. Did Kiambu overtake Narok? Senator Karungo Adhango on source revenue? Okay, because I can see Narok is at 5.9 billion. Is that the second highest ROR parliamentary budget office? Just check on ranking. So with such a high revenue collection, we definitely must look at the details.
Yes, Chair.
It was second.
I think third after Nairobi and Kiambu.
After Nairobi and Kiambu. Who is the receiver of revenue? Receiver of revenue, we now want to look at your report. Maybe you need to sit there in front. Because you are responsible for the collection of 5.9 billion. That's bigger than the budget of Tharaka-Nithi. That one gentleman. Yeah.
Chair, maybe Salat, you can tell us the revenue potential of Narok should be how much?
8.5 billion.
8.5 billion.
Yes.
This after the transfer back of Masai Mara or before?
What do you mean transfer back? What do you mean transfer back?
After, I thought the national government was collecting.
National government can never collect Narok.
That applied to Kajiado.
Oh, Kajiado, sorry. It's Kajiado, sorry.
So what did you say is OSR potential?
8.5 billion.
8.5 billion. So receipt of revenue, we are looking at your report. You will have to make a few explanations before we go to the details in the audit report. From the analysis by the Parliamentary Budget Office, cess dropped by 40 million. Can you explain? That's why we called you to the front. You are the receiver of revenue.
Through the chair, my name is CPA Moses Mitchell, the receiver of revenue. During the year under consideration, the sales dropped from 209, 520, 729 to 164, 249,056, translating to 45 million. We attributed this decrease to...
Yeah, and I hope PBO, you circulated this schedule to the members so that they can follow.
Can you give it to them as well?
No, he has his numbers tie exactly with what I have, so I'm not worried.
Attributed this decrease by one, what was happening within the county, that was Transmara section, that is Transmara East, West, and South. We had insecurity there and actually affected the sales collection. Again, during the year, we experienced adverse weather conditions. For poor infrastructure, I know the governor is addressing it the way he presented.
So those events, which type of sales did they affect? Because you have farm produce, quarrying, livestock, and others, and census. Which line is this that dropped by 45 million?
Sheep and goat collection, cattle sales, and also agricultural produce. In Transmara, we do collect sales for sugarcane and tea. So
how did insecurity contribute to the 45 million drop? You know, these are numbers. 45 million is probably, is that 30%?
Yeah, maybe
30% drop.
Maybe I can explain, Chair, that when we had that insecurity issue, it affects the sale yard. Normally, during the peaceful time, everybody bring their their livestock to sell in a sale yard. So when the livestock, if the people don't bring livestock to the sale yard, then there is no sales.
What was the duration of that incident?
It took almost about, I think that time it took about 3 or 4 months. But it affects, because you see, markets are many. There are more than 5 markets or 4 markets in a week. So the moment you don't, get the sales of these livestock, then it will drop. The same thing applies to, foods. When you talk of a market is where everybody brings their goods and services to sell. So once those people don't meet because of insecurity, then you can see that the revenue clerk will come home zero. Okay, so in about 3 months, then it will.
Governor, you have gone on record on that. Let's go to land rates. It dropped by 8 million, from 18 million to 10 million.
Yes, through the chair. Also, land rates, we do have a system collecting revenue at the other side of Transmara. Also, the same was affected by the same. And again, largely, there was the issue of enforcement. And actually, my boss, the CC Finance, took action. One director was employed to see that all land rates outstanding arrears are collected in time.
Senator Sifuna, I wish there was a document that could confirm that the things we're being told are actually factual, because we're going to blame everything on Transmara. If you had a granular table, you would be able to confirm what the CEO is telling us. But personally, I don't trust that land rates can be affected by the state of insecurity. Do you have, the governor has explained about the need for physical movement of animals to markets. But how is that the same for land rates?
Through the chair, we normally have monthly meetings for revenue monitoring.
At the meetings in Transmara?
No, at Narok. And we can provide progress reports on each and every revenue stream on monthly basis.
But what Senator Sifuna is saying is that your explanation does not add up for land rates. It could apply to cess, but not land rates.
Can I just get some clarity on this issue of land rates? I know, being the senator for Narok, there was an issue of court cases that was affecting the payment of plot rents versus plot rates.
Correct.
When we move into the issue of municipality.
Correct.
Now, I'm also aware that there is a municipality of Narok and municipality of Kilgoris.
Yes.
Now, I'm looking at this report. And of course, I've tied in the sales and the market. Those ones make sense. Yes. This issue of land rates, was it affected by that court case, or is that case, maybe Governor, you can tell us, has that issue of courts been cleared, or the business community is still not paying rates because of the way they went up?
Absolutely, you are right, Senator, and thank you for reminding me, because that is a big issue. The issue is actually the court cases that is ongoing. And some of these people who went to court because of the issue of municipality are not paying anything up to now, because again, the case is in court. And that one I can provide the court case that is still there. But of course, Senator, so that you can appreciate, these rural counties, anything about peace, it's like Nairobi. When there is mandamano, probably nobody goes to the shop. And land rate also was affected completely. And I remember that in that particular year, we had so many issues in Transmara, whereby people just don't want to pay any land rates.
Governor, maybe you don't need to repeat your explanation. Let's go to single business permit. Again, dropped from 70 million to 64.
That's 6
A 6 million drop.
9%.
I hope this is not Transmara again.
Yeah, through the chair, the 9% drop from 70 million to 64 million, I attribute this to what happened at Masai Mara. There was flooding during that particular year, and a good number of hotels were not able to pay. I think a good number of hotels were temporarily closed, and that affected revenue collection.
I thought this is an annual permit, Governor.
It is annual.
When do people pay for single business permit in Narok?
Between January and March.
So when are the
So
rains?
when there is flooding, you don't pay your business permit?
We're talking about hotels, Senator, hotels that are around Masai Mara and even the environs. You know, the whole area was affected. You know, there was flooding. I don't know whether you saw that, you know, we had to send choppers.
It was in which month?
It was all over.
Month?
Yes. Around, I think it was around February, March.
February, March.
Let me just for
Stories,
comparison.
I really
For
I really
comparison,
don't-
for comparison purposes, and I know this summary was prepared by our parliamentary office. Do you have the budget for Narok County for 2025-2026? So we can be able to see the estimate in terms of this revenue. Is that budget in existence? Or do you have it here?
Yes, we do.
Chair, maybe Governor, through the chair. or the
Maybe
budget.
let them answer that specific one. Then
Let me check whether we have the budget. We have it here or no? We have not annexed, but we can provide that.
Okay, just to run through the schedule and then we go to the. So again, market fees from 13 million to 9 million. Is it the same story, Ajaba?
Yes, through the chair, the same story.
Advertising from 10.4 million to 9.8 million.
Through the chair, on advertising, I attribute it to compliance, at the level of compliance at Narok municipality. The same is handled by the new director.
I think, honourable members, my feeling is like we are being treated to a lot of stories on this. A lot of
No, even if there is flooding in the first quarter, my assumption is that hotel, after the flooding in the first quarter, still operated the 9 months that remained. Were they operating without a license? And I've seen here, even Chair, you'll see the most worrying thing about ONSO's revenues in counties, which we will come to, the hospital fees. I'm sure they'll tell us the hospital fees went up because we were treating victims of flooding.
Chair, can I say something? Because you had given me mic before you come on.
Okay,
board.
Senator Sharage.
Chair, I think, Chair, my own request is that looking at the revenue potential of Narok was 8.5 billion, but they end up collecting 5.9 billion. That is a variation of 2.6 billion. We have listened to explanation of about less than 100 million. So even if you are to remove the missing of target, it becomes to 2.5 billion Kenya shillings that you did not collect, Governor. So my question to you, Governor, and I put it to you, what made you miss this target? Is it unrealistic? Was there revenue leakages? Chair, finally, looking at the receiver of revenue of Narok, there is an ICT committee, we have been doing revenue audit systems. There is a lot of issues of possibility of leakages of revenue and non-efficiency and even lack of valuation role. My own position, Chair, looking at the time, and there is SBC, and I know the leader would want to attend, can we do an independent engagement based only on source revenue? Because I have seen there are so many issues that are related to IT, related to collection, so that we can confirm whether these floods happen. Because,
Okay,
Chair, for
I
example,
think the point is made. You have said because of time. Now, Governor, you are saying you are not collecting single business permit because of flooding, but anyway, I think let Senator Karuko first.
Yeah, just to enhance your point and agree with you, Chair, that they lost revenue because of insecurity and flooding. I would like you to note number 8 of the table, physical planning and development. It went up by 2. So, Chair, you question people really developed during flooding and insecurity, because it went up by 2. So this is to show that on one side, they think they never collected this because of insecurity and flooding, but on this other issue, there was a lot of development even with that insecurity and flooding.
And further to that, you are talking of floods, etc., hotels out of operation, but your park fees grew by 1.1 billion, which indicates that the sector was booming. And then, therefore, there should be a relationship between that growth of 1.1 billion and the business permits. Because if it was that bad, then this line on park fees would not have grown from 4.3 to 5.4 billion.
Chair, I agree with the Senator that you see that is only two sub-counties that were affected. But the other areas we are doing very well because we didn't have all these clashes. Secondly, Chair, about the park fee, you know, there's a difference between, a whole season. For example, during a low season, that was between, January to around April. Of course, we were affected. But during high season, there were so many guests that visited Masai Mara, particularly high season from people from the US.
And the hotels reopened?
Well, actually some, but some did not, because it took time for them to really rebuild again. I don't know whether...
Sifuna, does that answer your curiosity? Or it makes it worse?
It is making it worse, Chair. I can confirm I'm getting more confused.
Yeah, because they're saying the facilities were opened later, and your question was, when they were opened later, shouldn't they have paid for it? Now, we are going through this exercise to demonstrate to you that you must put in place stricter, stronger controls and more regular reviews, because you are over-relying on park fees and hospital fees. The rest of the revenue streams are either underperforming or are remaining static. And yet we can see the economic activity in Narok. I think your senator is a big advocate of Narok. He tells us how Narok money is coming in. When you see Art Cafe, when you see KFC, when you see Carrefour come into a place, you know that there's money. But with that growth, we do not see it here in your receipt of revenue statements.
Perhaps here the governor can address us on these hospital fees. In the financial year, your hospital fees grew by almost 100 million shillings, from 59 million to 152. What pandemic is responsible for this, Governor?
First of all, Senator, when I came in, we built a number of other dispensaries from, all over the county. I built more than 70 health centers. Number two, Senator, we also introduced a new system whereby it was very, good for us that it can report on time. So that is what happened. And I can tell you that, when I came in as a governor, and it's good that I mentioned this, the county government of Narok, we used to collect about between 1.3 to 1.5 billion shilling in 2022-2023. But when I came in, look at 1.2 to 1.3 billion shilling. But when I came in, look at what I have done. I have now grown the own source revenue from 1.2 to 5.9. And in fact, our focus, or rather our target for next year is around 6.5 to 7 billion. Meaning that we continue to work on these other source of revenue instead of just, depending on the Masai Mara. Of course, Masai Mara is one of our big source of revenue, but yet when you look at the systems and what we have been doing, we are doing at least the 8.5. I don't know whether we'll ever be there, but we are somewhere around 7.
Governor, how many collectors of revenue do you have for park fees? Collectors of revenue. The receiver of revenue designates collectors of revenue.
Most caps.
It's only one.
Is it two? The one.
It is only one.
Two actually. Two.
Caps and
Jumbo Pay.
And Jumbo Pay.
Yes.
Now the Auditor General has queried over reliance on a service provider.
Yes.
Can we go to that specific matter in the receipt of revenue report and see whether that is giving value to the county? of a reliance on a service provider in the receiver of revenue statement. Auditor General, read your finding.
Thank you, Chair.
In the ROR, it is under lawful? It's on controls, effectiveness of internal controls. County over reliance on the service providers. Number 8 on the ROR. Yeah. Auditor General, are you there?
Yes, Chair.
Fine. Read your finding.
Review of records and revenue collection systems revealed that the county government relies heavily on the service provider to manage and administer its core revenue collection systems. Key functions such as system maintenance, data management, user support, and security monitoring are almost entirely outsourced, with limited internal capacity for oversight and continuity in the event of service provider failure. It was also observed that the county doesn't have mechanisms to ensure the completeness and accuracy of the revenue collected. In the circumstances, the over-reliance on the service provider exposes the county government to risks of revenue loss, manipulation, or service interruption in the event of provider failure or non-performance. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, your response?
Thank you, Chair. I'll give this to the County Secretary to go through that.
Honorable Chair, the county government has its own employees who manage the automated revenue collection system as system administrators with key roles of managing user accounts, system access, system monitoring, and providing technical support to users. The county system administration is also able to configure Finance Act services and charges in the system. Is able to access system reports for huge data. Plans are underway to roll out an advanced version of the systems which avails the huge reports without requesting from the service providers. Other roles like server management, system backups, and firewalls are managed by the service provider as per the service level agreement. Thank you.
Now, two questions that are not coming out clearly. Who is the service provider? And what is the automated revenue collection system referred to here?
Honorable Chair, we don't have a single service provider because we have a receiver of revenue for park fees. We have a different receiver of revenue for other revenue streams, like the market produce, like the livestock. And
so there are two?
Yes, there are two. Yes.
So mention them. Who are the two service providers?
For the park fees, it is CAPS, and for the other revenue streams, it's Jumbo Pay.
So when you say that the employees manage the automated revenue collection system, are your employees the ones managing the CAPS system or managing the Jumbo Pay system?
For the Jumbo Pay, it's actually our employees who are managing, but for CAPS, it's a hybrid system.
What do you mean by hybrid?
Some of our employees can access the system as administrators.
But the auditor said the county does not have mechanisms to ensure the completeness and accuracy of the revenue collected. Now, that's a very, very worrying statement. As you've said, for Jumbo Pay, you have visibility, but it collects probably less than 10% of your revenue. Most of your revenue is collected in CAPS.
Yes.
In CAPS, are the figures, the revenue collected, verifiable, auditable, and visible to your staff, or you rely on reports from the service provider?
I think the amount of revenue collected is only varied because the park fees are our anchor stream, but the CC Finance, as the administrator, the chief administrator, can confirm that he has access to the reports that are generated from the CAPS.
No, we are talking about visibility of the back end. It's not about the report. I think that's what the Auditor General is, because the backend can be amended. CC Finance.
Yeah, the CC can confirm.
CC Finance, do you know how to write an SQL script?
Yes. Yes.
You can do an SQL script.
Yes. I can, but I'm not.
Can you do an SQL script?
I cannot do on the caps.
No. Yeah. Can you do an SQL script?
No, I cannot.
Do you understand what SQL means?
Yes, I do understand.
What does it mean?
It means that you can be able to change the.
What is SQL?
You can be able to change the codings on the.
SQL means structured query language.
Yes. Yes.
It is a language that is used to query databases.
Yes.
To amend databases. It is one that at IBC you can use to insert numbers or to delete numbers.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what Jose Camargo was doing. So you are saying you are the administrator of the system. What guarantee are you giving us that when you get a report saying that you collected 5 billion, these guys did not collect 6 billion?
What I'm saying, Chairman, is that I can be able to view what has been collected, but I cannot be able now to query most of what happens at the back end.
So what the auditor says is true, that you don't have mechanisms to ensure the completeness and accuracy of the revenue collected.
Basically,
what we do, Chairman.
Just 1 minute. Yes. Basically, you have put all your trust and faith in the system.
What we do, Chairman, is simply like this. We have also our clerks at the gates, who does the counting of all the guests that are coming in and verify with the what has been input into the system.
Chair, could I ask this question, maybe so I can understand? Yes. The auditor has outlined one very critical issue of a reliance on this service provider. Governor, are you telling us that in Narok we do not have the capacity to have our own service provider, our own system, not service provider, but our own system that we can be able to support? Because the concerns that I know my colleagues are raising is on this issue where you say other roles like server management, system backup, and firewalls are managed by the service provider. Can't we? Are you telling us that we are not able to, as Narok County, to have our own system?
In fact, Senator Ledama, you raised an important point. Okay. Just to tie this. How much money do these people make in terms of a percentage of the collection?
It's 5.5%, 6.5%.
6.5%
of the total amount.
Deducted at source?
No, we have to pay them.
So they first,
all the money is collected, yes, CRF, and then they come and invoice us, and then we pay.
Yeah, but if you don't have access to the back end, then there's no way you can say with certainty that the 5 billion they swept is what they collected.
Let me explain this, because maybe we are not getting it what normally happens. So this is a pack where guest comes on a daily basis. So we have our own administrators. We have the clerks for the caps, and we also have our own clerks to count and check how many guests have come to the park, for example, a day. So they do reconciliation every week. Whatever amount that has been, reconciled, that is how much they pay every end of the month, or, the agreement is very specific. So in terms of how do we verify, we can verify because we have our own people. Actually, the administrator can, they can get all the information from this system. And there's nothing that they hide because, it's open for everybody to see.
The point that your senator was making is that if you had your own system, you would have both the visibility that the chair and the auditor desires, and you would have all this money that you're paying to the service provider available for you to be able to do other things. I don't know if my math is right, Chair, but at 6.5%, you're paying these guys 390 million shillings per year. That is more than the money you spend on the roads, Governor. That's the point your senator is making. You would have that 400 million shillings to be able to service your equipment?
Let me explain this because you are right, Senator Sifuna. When I came in, we had an agreement with the CAPS by the former administration. And now, actually, we are having a process of having our own, system, because all counties are going, that route, that you have your own system so that you can save yourself that amount of money that you are paying a service provider like CAPS. So, indeed, we didn't want to interfere with, of course, the agreement because there were clauses that are very punitive in nature. That, if you are to if you are to do this, there are so many things. And I think the Senator for Narok know that issue that went to court, and I think they are still having some issues. But now, we have all agreed that going forward, we need to have our own system. In fact, there's a system that Murang'a County is using. And we think that that system is very good. We are giving other service providers to come and do, presentation, and we see the best that can now give us to collect what they are saying 8.5. We'll wish to go to 10, but again, we are developing year by year.
But you see, even if you took a new system and you don't have visibility on the back end, you still have the same problem. For us, we want to have the assurance that everything that is collected is reported. Because we have that feeling in counties, I think counties like Nairobi, that Nairobi collects much more, but what is declared is less than the actual collection across the city. Senator,
yes, Chair. Just to add
on,
just to add on to that, Chair. I think some of these questions we are asking maybe can be answered if the committee can be able to access the contractual agreement between the county government and the CAPS and maybe Jumbo Pay. But Chair, I think there's nothing wrong with looking for service providers. The only issue would be, where does this money go to when they are collected? Do they go directly to the county-controlled bank account? Because if they go to CAPS, then they are forwarded to you, then there will be a problem there. But I think, Chair, if this money is collected by CAPS, but it goes direct to the county bank account, then I think we wouldn't have any problem because, of course, everything will be seen to go to the county. And also, I think the county should have a system that is integrated with this system. They can see real data as it happens. I mean, it's as easy as that, Chair.
Yeah, so we need to be careful that we are not saying go e-citizen. You know, someone might say that go e-citizen. But then why are you saying no? No, I mean, if there's a collection system that's working, why wouldn't you go e-citizen, or you lack control?
But have you forgotten, Chair, that e-citizen, there's somebody also who collects a fee? It's almost the same thing. The 50 shillings.
Yeah.
Okay, Senator Cheraki.
Chair, maybe Governor, I remember it's not an idle conversation, by the way. I remember, Governor, we were even discussing, if you remember, Chair, and Senator Ledama would be keen to this, is we even invited KRA. So, because we were wondering, is there a possibility of developing a KRA-like system to ensure counties correct maximum their revenue and to avoid leakages? And I remember that's a conversation we should have in terms of policy so that we can be able to seal some of these loopholes. Governor, apart from CAPS, how long has been Jumbo Pay providing services? And are you aware of the track record of Jumbo Pay in some of the counties like Meru, like Busia, and a number of them? What gave you confidence to have an engagement with them? And finally, looking at these challenges that you are facing in terms of collectors and many other issues that has been noted by the OAG, do you believe this is the most efficient system, or you think you can develop? I think Narok has the best brains that can develop some of these systems that can be used to collect revenue. Because I agree with you, you should be moving to 10 billion from 8.5. But if you can ensure some of these issues are resolved, including the issue of valuation role, it would be easy. Okay. Chair, those would be my three questions.
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of Jumbo Pay, they have only been providing us services for the last 2 years. And because actually they are managing a very small amount in terms of revenue, about 1 billion shilling. That's what they are managing. So I have not seen a problem. I have heard of it after I have already contracted with them, that they had some issues in other counties.
But you need to be concerned that all their revenue streams are dropping, despite
Correct.
all the explanations you're giving. That should be an indicator that there's a problem, because automation is supposed to increase efficiency and collection, but we are hearing a lot of stories around the streams they are managing.
I'm learning that from you, Senator, but as I said, I have not seen any problem so far. It's only 2 years they have just started. The other issue of, you ask whether we can develop our own, that's what we are doing right now. Counties are going that way, that we develop our own system so that we can save the 6.5% that we are paying to the service providers.
So maybe because, Governor, you are saying you are learning from us in one of your service provider, Jambo Pay. What is the level service agreement? Do you do review yearly in terms of year under review, the finance year, or do you do monthly? Do you do quarterly? How often do you review? And sometimes is there a downtime when this service provider, both the Jambo Pay and CABS? Because if there are any problems that have been faced in other areas, then, and Chair has rightly observed from the document we have been given, there is a steady decline in some of the revenue streams of the provider. What is the level service provider saying? Service level agreements.
Yeah, we normally do quarterly. Quarterly.
So they are talking.
No, members, I'm convinced, and I'm doing this because of time, that we might need a systems audit in Narok. Because if you go to issue number 6, you have weaknesses in Kenya Airport's parking services system, the one that is used to collect park fees. We have just dealt with issue number 4, where there is over-reliance on a service provider. There is lack of visibility, and the Auditor General says that the county does not have mechanisms to ensure the completeness and accuracy of the revenue collected. And then the auditor goes ahead and says that there are weaknesses in the system, and erases 6.1, use of cash as a mode of payment, 6.2, services not in the County Finance Act but mapped in the CAB system, and 6.3, services incorrectly charged to customers in the law system. And all that the auditor is saying are weaknesses in the system. Now, because of time, because remember we still have to deal with Murang'a County, and by 2:30 we need to be in the chamber. Honorable members, I was proposing that we either do a systems audit or generate a few additional questions so that we can get the assurance as a Senate that this service provider is offering the best kind of service for Narok. This service provider is not collecting and reporting, that this service provider, as raised by the Auditor General, can guarantee the completeness and accuracy of the revenue collected. I think that's something that we can do. We have the power to do so. Even if it's not today, we can direct that we field a set of questions and even invite the governor alongside CAPS, because this perhaps is the second most important revenue collection system in counties after the one for Nairobi. And I think even for Nairobi, we're in that space where we want to do a thorough systems audit. Honorable members, can that be a good way for us to deal with this? Yeah. Senator Ledama?
Oh. I think, why don't we go through this so that we know whether it is necessary or not, to see whether, I don't know about your time, but if you look at those weaknesses, if there are any responses that can satisfy. Because I think one of the key most important thing, Mr. Chairman, is that once we go through these queries, we mark them either resolved or unresolved. So that auditors, when you're carrying out your next financial year audit, you take cognizance of the issues that would have already been resolved. So if we could take a few more minutes, and I don't know whether we have the time.
I'm afraid if you were to go through the 3 issues then, and put in the questions and interrogation, we will not be able to convene for Murang'a County. So
and a system audit would be ideal.
So let's go either the system audit or prior to the system audit, just an inquiry where we are asking CAPS to come and provide those assurances.
Chair, I agree on this issue of system audit because some of these issues One is that I think it is not only Narok. We need, like Nairobi, a number of counties. We went with you, Busia. We should sample a number of counties and request the OAG to do the system audit. Then we invite the service provider, and I think CABS, Jambo Pay, among others, who provide revenue collection systems, including the internal revenue systems done by counties. Then when we receive the reports, Chair, then when we receive the report, if there are glaring issues, we can re-invite the client back. But if we do the system audit and those issues are resolved, then we don't need to go further. But I suggest, Chair, apart from meeting the entity, we must also meet some of these service providers like Jambo Pay, Cabs, even the internal revenue system, because we went to Trans Nzoia, the revenue was falling by 50%. Yet they were saying they changed to a better revenue collector. You go to Mombasa, Chair, I'm requesting, and even in Nairobi. In fact, Sifuna, you are aware, I don't know whether you are aware of this, that by the time the revenue report was ready to be tabled by the Speaker in the Nairobi County Assembly, it disappeared between the tabler and the Speaker's office and the chamber. So we need to do that system audit even here in Nairobi.
Okay, members, I think we now need to make some substantive progress. We would have gone through all these issues, but the headline is weaknesses in the CAP system. And if the auditor found weaknesses, there is no way the Senate can say that, no, it is not weak, it is effective. And that is how we'll report to the House, that there are weaknesses in the system, there are issues of cash handling, there are issues of mismapping of revenue streams, but we will keep this matter open until we ask the necessary questions and get the relevant answers from the county and from the service provider. Honorable members, I think the remaining issues, we will consider the written responses, and if the written responses are not adequate, then we might need to call the governor back. But I hope, Governor, in your neat set of documentation, I hope that you have attached evidence of closure of the issues that you have reported as closed. And we intend to table a report on Narok perhaps in the next 3 or so weeks before the Senate, because we have agreed that we'll be sending reports for 10 counties, batches of 10 counties. And so in the next 3-4 weeks, you'll see our recommendations, and it will be a duty to implement them. We must now bring this session to a close. Because of time, we will donate our time as senators to the senator for Narok. So, Governor, make your closing remarks, and then Senator Ledamo Lekina will speak on our behalf.
Thank you very much, Chair and Honorable Senators. I think for me, I have learned a lot from the questions that you have asked. And I will be more than ready, because at the end of the day, all of us are working for the people of Kenya to improve on systems that we have, or even any ideas that can make sure that we do what we are supposed to do. On the issue of governors not coming to the Senate, I think, Chair, I suggest that we have a meeting between the governors and the senators, the leadership, so that if there are issues, I think we can discuss and see what is the problem. Maybe it is normally good to give somebody time to explain what is this that they are having a problem, so that again you hear from their from their mouth. And then also, and I'm not saying that's why I've come here. I've come here because I have nothing to hide. I've even learned a lot from the question that you have asked, and I think my colleagues are ready to come, and most of them have come to these Senate committees. The best way to do is not what is happening right now, in my opinion. I think the Senate is a house of decorum, a house of records, and we ought to respect the Senate, and also vice versa, the senators to have respect for their governors, because at the end of the day, all of us are serving our various counties, and we want the best for our people. I request you, Chair, and I have not been sent by the Council of Governors, but my honest opinion, that let's have a seat and just listen to each other, and I'm very sure we can solve this this problem if there is any. Otherwise, today I have not seen any shouting much between the senators and myself, and I hope we continue with that. That does not mean that you have not asked me hard question. You have, and I have taken it, as a learning process, but not as a criticism or making noise out there. I don't think TVs or anywhere will help us. What will help us is the leadership of the Senate to sit down and just have a sort of like a sit together and find out what is the issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We are ready for a meeting. If it's a meeting on how to move roads to counties, how to deal with KERA, how to deal with intergovernmental agreements on national government encroachment of county functions, how to empower ECD teachers, how to ensure there is water in counties, how to ensure that the health services and function is fully devolved, we are ready to have a meeting. But we don't have time to meet to gossip. Senator Ledamo Lekina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I echo your words. And in my view, let me first of all begin by thanking the Governor of Narok. Thank you for respecting me. Thank you for respecting the Senate, for having made the time to be able to come here. I'm quite impressed with the preparation of your documents. You came here ready. Of course, there are issues that needs to be dealt with. And the quality also. The quality was superb. I'm concerned a little bit about financial documents preparation in terms of giving a total summary rather than giving a detailed description. Note 32 of the financial statement on trade payables needs to be clearly defined and itemized so that it is easy for us to know what is all pending bills. And the reason why we are calling them now trade payables is because we've moved from the cash basis of accounting to the accrual basis of accounting. So there's no longer a pending bill, it is mostly a trade payable. So I would like to request and urge the parole roads. I think this is an argument and discussion that we're prepared to proceed with so that we actually support our counties and send more money to the counties. I want to end by re-emphasizing on the issue that I raised earlier on in my earlier submissions, that failing to hold someone accountable is ultimately an act of selfishness. We shall continue holding the county governors accountable. They have to come to the Senate. That is not an issue of discussion. I think my views are a little bit different from the chairperson. We will not have a discussion about whether you appear in the Senate or not. Even the cabinet secretaries do appear in Parliament. That is under the Constitution. I believe it's Article 153 or 53, one of the two, 153. And when you look at our Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Section 19, they're quite clear. This Senate has the powers. And under Article 125 of the Constitution, we have the power similar to that of the High Court. Now, don't be duped, governors, to think that you can have a collective decision and you go by it. We do not have Auditor General report for 5 counties together. Unless you're saying that it is time for us to collapse the counties and make them 5 counties or 1 county. These are semi-autonomous units that must be accountable for. And what Governor Ntutu you did today was to demonstrate that you are ready to adhere to a fiduciary responsibility. So I thank you for coming, and Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the way you've carried out this session. It is very different. And as your whip, trust me, I will maintain you in this committee because I see you do a good job. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I have a question to ask the governor regarding his request. I didn't mean to speak up The leader there.
Okay, make it
quick. Very brief. Governor, how do people who have already decided that they will not appear before this committee ask for a meeting? What are they coming to discuss? They have already told us what they are going to do. They will not appear before PAC, and they have told us that even with PIC, they'll appear when they want. So what sort of conversation are we supposed to have with people who are essentially...
What was the problem? The only reason why I said this, Senator, we are all leaders. And as leaders, if you see me making some statement that warrant to look like there is a big problem, then I don't think it will hurt or it will have any problem if we can just, the leadership of the Senate and the leadership of the Council of Governors, and then we iron these issues if they are, and ask ourselves questions. I'm not saying that Senator Sivuna and Kajuang that people should not come for the summons. That's why I've come. I'm leading by example.
So, Chair, he has given me an idea. Immediately, we clear with those governors who read that statement here in this committee. We can have that meeting, in my view. So our clerks should look at our schedule and front load the governor of Mandera, is it? Wajir. Yeah. And the governor of Tharaka Nithi. We really would want to start those formal meetings with those two here first. Then we can now have the other
Senator Sifuna, you remember the governor of Tharaka Nithi ran away, literally.
Yeah. He needs to come back.
Unless we send Inspector General of Police to escort him back to the meeting.
I think the time we will engage with the governors collectively will be to discuss policy, constitutional and statutory challenges to devolution. And we have highlighted quite a few here. But one of the threats facing 23 counties today is drought. If you want us to be in a room, maybe call a meeting to discuss the drought situation. And then the other gossip can be AOB. But there's no way we are going to sit in a meeting with people who have demonstrated bad intent and ill will and contempt to the Senate. So we have time to discuss everything under the sky, but not time to come to a meeting ya kuwabembeleza. Hatutabembelezana. So let's all have some thick skin. We are leaders. Let's take criticism. Tulisema ukikuja mbaya, hata sisi tunapambana na wewe. If your documentation is embarrassing, we shall embarrass you. If your submission is embarrassing, we shall embarrass you. You have done well. I believe you have not been embarrassed. You have not been harassed. You have not been intimidated. You have not been humiliated. And this should be the spirit. This meeting is adjourned. We wish you a safe journey home.
Something that I forgot, and I really wanted to thank the Senate for pushing the 450 million. I want to say that billion. Please, we are with you on that. And we want to thank you. Continue pushing this money. We need it.
Only on that.
You are with us.
Only when you
want money, then you are with us.
That is a problem. Fine. The meeting is adjourned. We will, I think the delegation from Narok can be ushered out by the Sergeant at Arms, because we also need to convene to discuss the matter of Moranga.